Jared Goff will be the Lions' starting quarterback in 2022. And I like it. Let's Talk Lions. Welcome back to an all-new episode here at Let's Talk Lions. For those of you just joining for the first time, where have you been all my life? My name is Jay. Thank you for hanging out. This is your very own thought-provoking, Lord of the Rings loring Detroit Lions info hub. Center point. It's like this is where we come together to talk about this stuff. And, well, officially got my Amani Oru Warrior jersey in. Huge bummer. My boy's going to be on the IR for the rest of the season. But it is what it is. As this season unfolded, it was a pretty odd sensation seeing somebody who was not named Matthew or wearing number 9 under center. And coming into this season, there were so many opinions regarding Jared Goff. There were so many thoughts, whether it be good or bad, regarding him being the starting quarterback. I myself stood in the camp of, hey, look what the guy did in LA. Given the time and pieces, he could do that here. And after an entire season, well, almost concluding an entire season watching Jared Goff, there's a lot of mixed feelings from myself, from every other Lions fan or critic out there. This year has been a roller coaster tycoon of emotions. One tough thing about being a fan in today's world is the fact that it's just so intense, right? There's so much intensity that comes from every single angle of news, of any outlet, of people like myself or people that are producing any sort of content, be it national media, the Minas Tirith, if you will, all the way down to the itty bitty shire like yours truly. There's just so many emotions, there's so many thoughts, and quite frankly, one of the hardest things for me is the amount of individuals looking for clickbait, just trying to stir up or rile up any fan out there. And quite frankly, it's not the way that I operate. I mean, I look at this year earlier, it was like week 4 or 5, and I heard people calling for the job of head coach Dan Campbell. And I'm sitting there thinking, do you know anything about how this game operates? Like, to me, it was so unfair, and I just really took a step back and was like, I don't even know if these people believe that. I think they're just trying to get people to click a button, watch their video, throw a comment down there. Quite frankly, it's very annoying, and so I never want to do that. But I digress. Getting a little excited over here. Jared Goff came to the Lions this season. There were a lot of opinions, a lot of feelings about him, and now 16 weeks into the season, we can actually take a step back and look at his progress, see a lot of the failures, a lot of the successes, and view him going into the 2022 season. Some people loved it. Some people hated it. Some people just sort of stood back like the Heath Ledger Joker, snapped a pool stick, threw it on the ground, and said, have at it.
There's only one spot open right now, so we're gonna have tryouts.
I was excited for the change here in Detroit. Stafford was never going to get it done here. That was something that we saw how far he could get us. Quite frankly, I think we were all very comfortable with Stafford because you can win, you can lose. It was always going to be what it was. And that's where I stand. That's where I stood. And now looking at Goff, I was excited. And now watching him this whole season, I feel good about him being QB1 next year. There are no QBs that are worth the first round draft pick this year. There's no QBs worth the first 5 draft picks this year, in my humble Shire-like opinion. However, looking at this draft class, looking at Jared Goff, looking at the QBs that are running out of contracts or contracts are ending this year, there's very few that I would be willing to say, yeah, I'd bring that guy here. Now, you also have to take into account Goff's contract. He is here in 2022. He is. It would be wild. There would have to be a lot done in order to get him out. Now, if you look at the entirety of his season, Goff struggled a lot early on. One thing that I remember specifically were Rams fans, and I remember them dropping it into the comments after the trade went down, and they were like, get ready for this guy to fumble the ball a ton. And they were right. Goff has had 9 fumbles on the year, all in situations where the offense was finally making a drive, and then poof, there goes the ball. I can very specifically remember being at the game in Green Bay when we were making that drive, finally seeing some progress. Goff drops the ball. He struggled in the elements. I mean, you look at his game specifically against the Pittsburgh Steelers where we tie them. Goff had like a 54% completion percentage. It was bad. When the elements are bad, Goff's gameplay was bad this year. You cannot chalk up Goff's failures and successes to specifically and only Goff. Football is a team sport. The O-line in the beginning of the year, which was arguably our strongest area as a team, went down early with Decker's injury, Sewell getting slid to right, then Ragnow's injury. There were a lot of things that happened that caused a lot of pain and suffering for Goff himself. Wide receivers as a whole, we never had a wide receiver one. We lose Quintus Cephas, Terrell Williams right off the bat. However, all in all, we have seen steady growth from Amon-Ra St. Brown and then bringing in Josh Reynolds. These things, establishing a run game, is so important to Goff's success. But specifically, before we get into establishing the run game, let's look at bringing in Josh Reynolds. That gave Goff a boost of gameplay, of completion percentage, of success by simply bringing in one guy. Reynolds' first week was against Cleveland, and Goff didn't even play that week because of the oblique injury. So Goff's average completion percentage up until the point of Josh Reynolds coming to the Detroit Lions was at about a 67%. Well, with Jared Goff under center and Josh Reynolds in the game, Goff's completion percentage boosted up 5% to about a 72% completion percentage. Then there is the growth of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Really what you start to see happen here is each of these rookies elevating their game, Goff being able to throw the ball to guys like St. Brown, finding St. Brown in scenario situations where, look at St. Brown getting more targets each week for the last 4 weeks. There is trust being built. And most importantly, for Goff's success is establishing a good run game. Because if you can establish a good run game for a guy like Jared Goff, what that does is it opens up the play action. Goff is successful when it comes to the play action. So if you could establish a run game, keep the defense on their toes, that allows Goff to fake the handoff, throw the ball, find Amon-Ra St. Brown, and move that ball. That's what we did against Arizona. We ran the ball. Craig Reynolds established the run. Jared Goff goes 21 for 26. He had a QBR or a rating of 139. His completion percentage was 80%. He threw for 216 yards and threw 3 TDs. Establishing the run game is so vital to Goff's success because if you can establish that run game, run the play action, Goff can get it done. And right now, looking at the future of the Detroit Lions, I really like our running backs room. We have Jamal Williams signed through next year. It was a 2-year contract when we picked him up. So you got DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and we see what a guy like Craig Reynolds can do. This is huge. It's huge to Goff's success. Amon-Ra St. Brown stepping it up as a wide receiver. We'll have Quintus Cephas back next year. All in all, when I look at Goff, his success comes from the team's success. Yeah, there might be some struggles. A lot of times it's between the head. It's the mental side of it with him. But all in all, I do feel comfortable with him as we begin to establish a run game. I think that there has been a disconnect between Anthony Lynn and Goff. And hey, listen, it's year 1 of a rebuild. Year 1 of a rebuild, I feel good about it. This is exactly what we needed. We needed our young guys to develop. We needed to get a baseline down. And so going into next year, I think Goff will have a much better second season with the Lions than he did his first year. As we're winning a lot of these last games, you can see that the locker room believes in Campbell. Goff believes in Campbell, Campbell in Goff. At least that's what it looks like. That's exactly what we needed. We have the momentum shifting in our favor at the end of the season. The guys still believe in this. The culture is being built. The identity is there. And that's huge. And maybe no, Goff isn't the long-term solution for us. But guess what? He is our QB1 next year. And so this is the best way to look at it, the best way to approach it going into 2022. And so with that momentum, we need Goff to harness it and ride it like DreamWorks Spirit. You know, the movie about the horse in the wild, and they're all like trying to like harness the horse, and he's like, get off my back. And into my game, that's the song. I can hear it playing really well in my mind. With a healthy O-line and established run game, Goff will find success. Just like in Monopoly. Sure, it might not be Boardwalk or Park Place for that matter, but if you can get the third side of a Monopoly board, you know where the yellow and the red ones are, that's where you find success. It's cheaper to buy those, but man, do people gotta pay when you put a hotel on that shiza. So, if you're playing Monopoly with your buddies this weekend, just use that to your advantage. Anyways, goodbye.